Okay, so using the slab roller, getting your clay ready, you want to start with more clay rather than less. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle to get it all in the right shape. So you want to just make too much so that you've got, a big oval thing and you can have the right square. There's also often issues with little air bubbles, or like these little cracky edges when they stretch on the slab roller will split, and so you want to not have to repair things on your slab, just cut those off and use the good part of the slab. It does dry your clay out a little bit to make it into a slab, so if your clay is just right or a little on the stiff side when you start, make sure when you cut off those pieces you dip them in water before sticking them back in your bag, and that way they stay workable. At least they don't get more dry. So this slab roller has two of these metal rollers over here, one up above that you can see right here, and then another one underneath. And you need two pieces of canvas to roll through. Canvas, or there's, mostly it's canvas, there's a couple of other things that can be used. And there's extra canvas if the canvas is excessively dirty, if there's chunks of clay on there and it's too wet. So when you scrub it off, if it's wet, it'll stick to your clay and make new chunks. So if you need to swap it out because this is, the canvas is too wet, there is some extra canvas, usually in the cupboard back here. And you want to make sure everything's clean. If there's any clay stuck to the rollers, that can make dents in your clay. And then a couple of important things about how this works. You turn the wheel, it turns both of those, and it feeds it. It can go either direction. And these two knobs adjust the width. You want to make sure you're adjusting both of them evenly so you don't end up with a weird tip on there. And you want to start out with them significantly wider than you want your end slab to be. You don't want to run it through just once and have that be it. So I started out at like 5/8 of an inch. And if your clay is soft, it'll go through and you can start closer to your end thickness. This clay is pretty stiff, so I'm going to not try and squeeze it down very much all at once. So I'm going to set it down here, and I'm going to give myself a good 6 to 8 inches of canvas on the side that's going to be feeding into those rollers, and then put the other one, line up the other piece of canvas, and I'm going to kind of push them through, then reach over and grab the other side, and I'm going to feed it through while pulling on the canvas. It's important that you don't try and push it through when you're rolling the thing, because this has a pretty good grip, and I mean, it's not you have to hand crank it, so it's not like it's going to feed your whole arm through or anything, but it will smash your fingernails or tear off the tips of your fingers as it goes through if it's smaller than your fingers are when it feeds them in there. So just because it's not a powered machine doesn't mean it's not potentially dangerous. So just be safe. And if you're grabbing the canvas here, one, it tends not to wrinkle, which will wrinkle your dents in your slab where the wrinkles were, and it feeds through better. So I've got that all ready to go, and now I'm going to start pulling on this, and right now I'm spinning the wrong way. Or actually, I wasn't, it's just not spinning. So I don't have it angled down enough. See, it's trying to squish that too much, and this clay is too stiff. So I just kind of pound it to be a little more of a ramp thing before it feeds it through. Or I can adjust the handles a bit, or both. I'm going to put that back down. You don't want to put it right in the middle of the slab in case it stretches really long. It can't go past it, or that's one of the ways you get clay stuck to these rollers. The other way is if you only have one piece of canvas above it, but you don't have a canvas below, or you have a canvas below and not above. So I'm going to go in here, start turning as I pull, and that squeaking sound means I'm pushing a lot of clay through, and I probably should have adjusted it. It also means that these splits are going to be wider. Can you see those? So these splits in the clay are going to be wider, and it's gonna mess up the clay a little bit more. So I can even stop halfway through and say, oh yeah, that really should be more than 5/8. Let's have it closer to like 7/8 of an inch. And I could just oil it, but it's putting a strain on the machine anyway, and the squeaking is my alert from across the room that somebody's straining the machine. Much easier to go through that time. You can see where it went up a little bit. And the other thing I'm going to do is now take it and rotate it sideways so that the next time it stretches this way. And it's going to stretch a little bit unevenly. You can see a few wrinkles in there where it was binding up and wrinkling that canvas. If I run it back through the other way without moving it, I'm going to stretch it beyond the canvas. So I'm going to just push it back through the other side, but not tighten it down until I have it through over there. Now I'm going to tighten it back down to right around 1/2 inch. That's a little bit below where I had it last time. The nice thing about running stiff clay through the slab roller is that it's not so floppy when you try and move it. If you're going to do something that's more square, where you want slightly stiffer slabs, you can start working on those right away. When the clay's a little bit stiff to go through, it doesn't go through quite as nicely, and it's more likely to crack. And even right there, where that was all uneven, you can see there's still some of that going on here. So anything that's messed up in the surface here, I want to take care of by compressing with a rib. Just pause. Well, or